Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TTML F1. We are here tonight on a Sunday night, of course. It is Season 7, Round 11 of the Championship as we take in the Mexican Grand Prix from the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez here in Mexico City, Mexico. My name is James Head, talking you through the stream as always on a Sunday night, and joining me in the comment box, it is Mr. Pepsi Freak. Pepsi, how you doing?
I'm doing fine here today. Hopefully you're feeling well, James, after I heard a little bit of your accent happen earlier. But other than that, though, we were north of the border in my home country. Now we're south of the border for the Mexican GP, and it's going to be a lot of fast straights, a lot of tight corners. And you had a sneaking suspicion we're going to probably see a bit of a duel in the Mexican desert between Tom and Jensen. And I feel like I'll agree with you on that point. I think Tom and Jensen are going to be very fighty down the straights. Same thing you can see probably at Mazda next week as well. A lot of long straights and a lot of very overtaking every probably lap.
Yeah, definitely so. We likened it to a bit like Jeddah. Could be a battle for the ages tonight between Tom and Jensen. To talk you through, of course, what happened last week as well in TTML F1. Of course, we went to the United States Grand Prix and it was Jensen who took the win. Predictably, Tom was in second, and then predictably even further, Rudy was in third. What did that do to the championship standings? Well, coming into tonight, it is Jensen that leads the way. That's the wrong standings. Jensen leads the way on 235 points. Tom in second on 206 points. Rudy in third on 179. Now, he is not racing here tonight, so that now eliminates him as long as Jensen and Tom score points out of the championship picture. Links in fourth is still in, with a point behind, actually, on Rudy. He's on 178 points, but he's a point behind. If he obviously gets outscored by Jensen and Tom, he will also be out of mathematical contention this week, potentially, as well. Big gap down to MTC in 5th on 128, Fleddy in 6th on 125, then another big chasm to Carlsbury in 7th on 88, Funky Chicken in 8th on 71, Ewan in 9th on 69, and Black Box in 10th on 67 points. And we've got Zoidema, Aries, Boss Wanted, Stefan Grosso, top 15, Hyper, Noah, Chokers, Dara, and Daniel, rounding off the 20 drivers that have scored the most bonus points so far this season. Jensen, though, leading the way, 29 points he leads coming into tonight. If he comes out on the other side of tonight, he has basically got one hand on the championship.
Yep, if he comes out tonight with a win, or if if Tom doesn't finish, then yeah, that's one hand on the championship, and it makes it a lot of an easier situation going into Mazda next week, because it's a very easy clinchable scenario. But if Tom ends up besting him, which I don't even see Tom yet in this lobby here, so he may want to get a move on here. But if Tom comes in and wins, it's still Jensen's advantage. He still controls his own destiny. Just has to finish behind Tom every week, and he'll lock it. But it puts a little bit more of a spanner in the works, they would say, and makes it just a little bit easier for Tom to try to close up the gap. And there is Tom, the snooze man. So no easy walk for Jensen tonight. He is going to have to fight for that championship in the Mexican sun.
Yeah, he will indeed. Tom, by the way, midweek changed, I believe, from Shazoo. I don't think he's part of Shazoo anymore. He has been picked up by Parnell Racing, and Parnell Racing are obviously one of the biggest developing teams on the PS platform. So Tom, obviously, if he's moved to Parnell Racing full-time, congratulations on the move, because I think it's a really good move. If he's still with Shazoo, though, it doesn't really make a difference, because he's a good driver nonetheless in either team, and he is obviously switching that team tonight, like Jensen did a couple of weeks ago with VSR, picking them up, of course. Constructor standings before we get going, we're getting them going in towards qualifying now. Red Bull lead the way on 363 points, McLaren in second on 303. Looks likely that Red Bull could wrap it up tonight, but only if they have a big point swing to McLaren. Mercedes in third on 250 points, AlphaTauri fourth on 206, Haas fifth on 139, Alfa Romeo in sixth on 95, Aston Martin seventh on 88, Alpine in eighth on 49, Ferrari in ninth on 39, and Williams in 10th on 23 points. Red Bull holding the lead, Pepsi, by 60 points coming into tonight. Again, one hand on the trophy, I think, for Red Bull, as long as they outscore McLaren tonight.
I mean, Red Bull's just looked like they've been the class of the field. They've been consistently showing up, and you could say Jensen's been a little bit stronger than MTC, because MTC started off pretty strong, and then he kind of tempered off a little bit, but he's still a good rear gunner and consistently showing up, so he's getting points for Red Bull, and it's just been a strong effort around for the whole team. So yeah, I don't think they can mathematically clinch it tonight, the constructors, but it feels like almost a lock unless both drivers really fall off, and if both drivers really fall off, then we're going to have more talking points than that. But yeah, they have been pretty strong, but no shame on McLaren as well, or Mercedes. They've been both pretty strong as well in that top three, and they deserve to at least be putting a fight to the end.
Yeah, definitely so. I've just spotted something very strange, by the way, in the Williams garage. There's no Williams drivers here tonight, but can you see a front wing and Nicholas Latifi's end of the
Yeah,
garage?
I've noticed that. Same thing with the Russell's character as well. They do that weirdly. The cars spawn in regardless. I've seen that for past weeks. They just sit there. Even if there's no car going out there, they just load them in and then they just sit there. So, very weird. At least maybe on spectator cam. Yeah, they're just sitting there. I think probably the same thing in the Ferrari garage if we got a good look at it.
Yeah, definitely so. Jensen and Noel, by the way, first two men out on track. If there is an improvement, by the way, in terms of the quality of tonight's live stream, let me know in the comment section. We are obviously trying out something new in terms of the FPS here, because I've been broadcasting in 720p standard. We've gone 720p high and 60 frames a second here tonight, and I've got to say, so far on my screen anyways, it looks perfect.
Fancy. Yeah, we've upgraded the world. We've made a step up. We're making one step farther towards progress. But, yeah, we'll see if it holds out. We'll make sure the quality's good, and if not, we'll have to cross that bridge. But I'm going to just take a quick look as well. It is looking... it looks nice. Little, about the same, maybe a little bit. Maybe that's just my system. But yeah, it looks good.
It looks good. That's what we want. That's what we want. Jensen's coming through in towards the Ferrosol section, of course. The old baseball stadium around here that used to play, of course, host to baseball. I think in the mid-1980s it was very popular Mexico baseball. But Jensen now coming through parallel top. Takes a very wide line coming onto the line and now running onto his lap. We will reach 200 mile an hour on the run down and towards turn number 1. Already opens up that first DRS on. There's 3 around here. Just 2, though, detection points because turns 1 and turn 4 shares the same detection points. Coming through turn number 1 with Jensen, then through the SA section of 2 and 3. Negotiates it very nice indeed. Ran very wide though. Coming out of turn number 3, might back off this lap. He's on this set of medium compounded tyres though. No, the second man out on track is on a set of softs. But Jensen through the first sector, 28.7. We should be seeing a lot quicker than that, I think, through the first sector. And do you know what? I think Jensen may be just taking this, and I think he might actually have backed off on this lap. He's coming through the right hand of turn 6. This looks, I've got to say, very scrappy from Jensen so far. Then that comes through into the SA section, through turn 7, through 8, through 9, and you can tell coming through here he's not pushing because we're right on the limit normally through here. Through turn 10 and 11. Noah though is on the lap, so we've got to cut to him. 28.2 in the first sector. Set us off compounded tyres on the car, and now he's coming through the middle sector with a 55.5. Very good middle sector to start off the session already. We're now coming through into the Ferrosol section at turn 13, and then, of course, into the Peraltada corner at 16 and 17. Jensen backs off his lap on the right-hand side, as now Noah comes through the final corner at Peraltada on the run to the line, and it is a 1:14.4 to start off the night. Pole position, by the way, for retrospect in F2, 13.6 set by Yona.
Yeah, that is probably going to get close to or past as well. We see Jensen going again here. Now, Zoidman obviously on the middle lap as well. The main tricky section here is probably going to be that S section for a lot of these drivers around here because it's very easy to get it wrong and either cut and get yourself a warning or really bungle your run. So it's going to be a bit of a tricky part of the section. I would see Funky Chicken go P2. So yeah, no leads the way right now, but I think obviously a lot of these drivers are just getting kind of customized to the circuit, understanding what the car brings. Chicken and Zoidman were both on medium, so maybe a little bit of a different can of worms here. Smith as well coming and putting a time down, just seeing who else is currently on a run. We got Tom, who just started a run, Fletty coming through the first section as well. I think the farthest one on the track is Hyper currently going through the S section, so we'll see what he can do in a short time. And almost invalidates there. Thought it was going to be a validation, but he's going a bit on the slower side. But right now, Noah leads the way, and now Hyper just validated. So yeah, Noah leads the way, and we'll see what other drivers can do as they get more customized to the circuit, but times definitely will come down as Jensen is about to cross the line.
Jensen is about to cross the line indeed. Fleddy's just invalidated on his lap. We'll go on board with Jensen then coming through. That's Dara Smith coming through the final corner. On board with Jensen, runs the line. 15.1, set of medium compounded tyres. Not a bad lap at all on that set of mediums. Tom through the first sector. 28 flat through the first sector from Tom. Now coming through the middle sector. That was perfect through the S section through 11. And now I'm in the middle sector. 55 flat. He's absolutely flying on this lap time. In towards turn 12. In towards 13. No wonder Parnell Racing picked him up as he comes down through 13, 14, through the Ferrosol section, into the Peraltada corner at 16 and 17. Tom's going for 113, I think, to begin off the night. Tom to the line, 113.7, and we are a tenth of a second off F2's pole position. Tom out on top, Noah second, Jensen third. I have a feeling that lap time might get beaten, but It's a very, very big gap between him and Noah.
Yeah, remember, Jensen, Chicken, Zoidema, all on medium tires. Jensen hasn't even put down a lap on softs yet. And remember, the track is also going to get very more rubber as time goes on. So times are going to pick up. So yeah, that time, Jonas' time may get beaten for starters for F2. And I think we'll definitely see Tom's time as well get beaten. So a lot of things to play for here at the very least here. One other thing I do want to say is we look into the comments, Buck calling us both legends. Buck, you're also a legend as well. You're a pretty good commentator in your own right. So we'll see here. Who else is Hyper? Did have a purple sector, but I think that was more just a late switch there. We'll see what the Haas driver can do as he comes off the last corner here in a set of softs. Can he get any higher or close to his teammate? The Haas machine will cross the line, and that will be a P3 for Hyper, a 1:14.609, so just 2 tenths behind Noah. But looks like the softs can get you around a 1:14 on average. Medium's about a 1:15, about a second gap, as now Jensen's in the pit lane. Going to probably switch over for a set of softs.
Link's now hopefully going to be purring out on track in the McLaren. That's a terrible pun. Coming through turn 1, 2 turn, and then through the right-hander of turn number 3. And Link's comes through turn number 3. Nice section, actually, coming through the track there through the SS Moses Solana on the run down towards turn number 4. And it's 28.2. Not as quick as what we've seen with Tom so far, obviously. But Link's should be going, you would think, second position with this lap time. But he needs, obviously, to try and get this lap near enough spot on, and then he can improve, of course, in the second run as we go through the session. We're 7 minutes through, by the way. Tom needs away Noah in second, Hyper in third in qualifying. Lynx looks a little bit understeery coming through turn 10 and 11 there. Just got slightly out wide on the curb, just forced him off wide. 55.7 in the middle sector. He's already 7 tenths per second off Tom's lap time, and he's just nearly gone and Tokyo drifted through turn number 12 into the Feather Soul section, the baseball stadium, of course, through 14, through 15. Should go fourth, I think, with this lap time. Lynx, he's looked a bit scrappy, I've got to say, on this lap. The McLaren on the run to the line, and indeed he does go fourth with a 14.8. But coming to the S section there, scrappy through there, scrappy final sector. He can improve a good 3, 4, 5 tenths on that.
Oh, yes, he can. He definitely could find some time in that McLaren machine. He's just got to get the line right and get the timing down. And if your car is drifting around corners like Colton Herta's last night in the Indy GP, then you got something wrong with your setup or your driving style. You may want to try to get that looked at. But we'll take a look here and see who else is currently on runs. METTC is currently, but he's invalidated, so his time will not count. Link's obviously going to let go cooldown. Carl's B on a cooldown lap as well. Zoidman is currently on a run on a fresh set of softs, but he's currently through the first sector, so it's going to be a little bit of time before we see him complete a run. And I think Daniel as well is currently through the second sector, so we'll see what the the Alfa Romeo driver can do here through the S section here, goes a little bit too wide, and it seems like the shade of a lot of the drivers, a little bit scrappy kind of end of these corners, but he gets good on the level here in 6th to 7th, going to get a good toe here. We'll see where Sector 2 time is. That's kind of how you want to do it. Past the Pirelli sign, it's a 55.833. Looks okay, but not going to be a pole run at the very least. Last couple corners here through the stadium section, which will be raining confetti on the last lap of the race. Hopefully the few drivers here don't hold them up in Aries. Going to get a little bit close, not enough. Good toe off the line, and it's going to be a 1:14.702 for the Alfa Romeo driver, and that's just going to be just barely behind Hyper and just ahead of Link, so slightly a nice little sandwich between a Haas and McLaren, but definitely a little bit more time you probably could find. Maybe get the Lynx definitely at the very not Lynx, Hyper at the very least.
Yeah, Daniel actually surprised me with that lap. I thought he was going to be nailed on for 6th position ahead behind Lynx, but he didn't. He went 4th. 14.7 was a good final sector. Jensen, though, 28.2 first sector. Tom already quicker than Jensen through this first sector. He's now put on a set of soft compounded tyres. We see now coming through the double right of turn number 6, and then, of course, into the exit section at 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. It is Tom out on top, Noah second, Hyper in third as we approach halfway in qualifying. Jensen nearly gets turn 9 wrong there. Nearly picked up the invalidation. Through turn 11, he looks very, very oversteery coming on this setup. Coming through the middle sector. 55.1 though, he's there or thereabouts in terms of Tom's sort of lap time. He's about a tenth and a half down, I think, at this stage. So we'll see what the Red Bull can do as he comes through 13, too much curb, and again too much curb through 14, through 15, into the Peril Tara at 16 and 17. 8 minutes to go in the session. Jensen will probably go second with this lap. He goes to the line. 14 flat. That final sector, that run over the curb at turn 13, really cost him about 2 tenths per second. So Tom there out on top, Jensen second, Noah in third. Jensen, good lap, but not matching the pace of his championship rival.
True, but we've seen last week that you don't have to be on the pole to kind of be the strongest car. Remember, Jensen didn't qualify on pole last week. Tom did, and Jensen ended up taking the race win from him. So it could be a situation just getting the consistency down. If he can consistently hit that 14.025, because he may be at a better, stronger rate than something like Tom if he can't consistently hit the 7.45. So it is kind of worth noting. And right now, his nearest competitor is Noah, and Noah just had to call off that lap because he made a slight mistake. Gonna gun up again, gonna use the ERS he's got saved in the fuel load. We'll see if Noah can make anything happen here, but it looks like, yeah, he does not like this lap either. So he'll be going around and trying to gun for one more run with about 5 or 4 minutes left in the session. But he's got some competition. There's Doggin Smith bumping Noah down, and it seems like you got John and Jensen in kind of, I don't want to say in their world of their own, but definitely above one level. And then you got the rest of the field all pretty close with Smith, Noah, Hyper, Daniel, Zoidma, Lynx, all within kind of a sandwich. And we still got a few other drivers like Metzi, who hasn't put down a time yet, Fleddy, who just invalidated, and Aries as well, the reserve driver, who is currently through the couple sections here, but also going a bit slow. But they could definitely kind of rumble it up there in that 14 pack. So maybe a little bit of a runaway for Tom and Jensen, but I think for third, it's going to be a big fight for us. There goes Hyper, jumping up the P3, bumping Smith down.
Yeah, I think if everyone can get their lap times actually set up, like Fleddy, for example, P3 will be an awesome battle, I think, here in qualifying. Tom the Wild on top, Jensen second, Hyper now in third, 14.2 there from Hyper, put him into that third position. Hyper has shown some very good pace, actually, in recent weeks, especially so in the United States Grand Prix. I believe, though, did he retire from the United States Grand Prix?
Hyper? I think he did. I remember seriously wrong. There's one Haas, and yeah, I think he retired.
I don't know. Answers on postcard, please, in the comment section for that one, if you do want to go back on the stream. Aries, by the way, now a Shazoo Academy driver from TTG, formerly, now on a lap. He's on a set of medium compound tyres, going for multiple runs. Interesting, by the way, Carlsbury didn't get any practice in, obviously, before the session started. He's went 5 laps on a set of soft compound tyres, so that's clearly a practice run, like I saw with NSX Connor last night in Brazil in League of Europe. And he actually finished 5th or 6th position, so it can be done when you get practice in this session. Normally, it might give you a better chance as well. But Tom out on top, Jensen second, Hyper in third, 5 minutes to go in the session as Aries now comes through Peraltaro at turn number 16 and 17, on the run towards the line, and it is a 15.4, so he goes ahead of Carlsbury, gets a more valid lap time in. He goes under a set of soft compound tyres, though. Aries, who has shown pace so far this season, should be up there, 3rd, 4th, 5th position.
Yep, he should be up the 3rd, 4th position. Aries definitely got some strong pace there if he switches off to softs. And like you said, he's putting some banker times down, trying to figure out what the car can do. He's got to come in kind of soon here because he's got 4 minutes to go. It's a quick lap around here, but you don't want to wait to the last minute to put that time down or get kind of run out of room here. So we'll see what he can do. And by the way, just to answer your question, Hyper actually did finish the race last week, finished P10, so he did not actually retire, but had kind of a poor showing on the last couple laps. So the Haas driver did end up finishing last week. So with 4 minutes to go, we got Jensen heading out again on an out lap, curling through the third, about to hit the 3rd sector here. We'll see what he can do on his run. Other than that, Lynx is invalidated. Aries is also invalidated. So I think right now, Jensen is going to, I think this may be his last attempt, because if he goes around 3-2, if he bails on the first lap and comes in right away, then yeah, but he'll be at like 3 minutes, then 2 minutes to come around. He could get one more attempt, but does he want to use another set of softs? We'll have to wait and see. But now Jensen going to gun down his line here, going into 1, and we'll see what the Red Bull driver can do, and hopefully the Aston Martin does not impede his run here in the corner 1.
Yeah, definitely so. He's clear down in towards turn number 1. Look, Lisa Jensen in towards the right-hander of turn number 1. Then through the S section of turns 2, and then the right-hander of turn number 3. Nice negotiated. He's on this lap, and he knows he means business on this lap. It should be a 28.1 first sector. 28 flat in the first sector, purple out of everyone, and Jensen means business here, and this could be the battle for the ages beginning already in qualifying with 3.5 minutes to go. Jensen is hooking up this lap like Muhammad Ali is hooking up punctures as now Jensen comes through in towards the S section, through 7, runs wide and invalidates, coming through turn number 8. Commentator's curse, if I've ever seen it, play Muhammad Ali. Tom out on top, Jensen second, Hyper in third, Jensen 14 flat, but crucially, what I was going to say, it looks like he's got a very high fuel load, which will mean he can go for multiple runs if he invalidates.
Yeah, so he's probably going to back down here, save as much ER as he can, and go for a second attempt here. I love how as soon as Jensen got that first sector, you saw Tom start making a break for the garage. So I think Tom feels a little threatened, and he's going to go for it. But one other thing I need to ask, Muhammad Ali punctures. I know I have some strange analogies, but punches. Oh,
punches,
I thought you said Muhammad Ali punctures his tires. I'm like, I didn't know where your analogy was going into that one. Punches makes a lot more sense. So Jensen going to gear up again here. Going to take a second attempt at it. Had 81% ERS, so not a full tank of ERS, but we'll see where he is at the first sector. Remember, 28 seconds was his range he hit. We know his third sector is a bit of his kryptonite here. If he can keep it all clean, he could have a good pole run here. Goes a little bit wide on exit. We're going to get the good throttle. We'll see where he is at the end of sector 1. Got to be around 28 seconds, and it's going to be 28.208. So still purple, still fast, but not as fast that first run, so hopefully his confidence isn't a little bit too shooken, as we do have a bunch of other drivers taking attempts at laps here, so we'll see if anyone else can jump him. Derek Smith just going to get out of the way there. No interference, no harm, no foul, but definitely a little bit of a scary moment there. Jets going through the S section here of the tight, twisty bits. Looks like he's on the throttle here. Some go 6, some go 7, goes a little bit off exit. We'll see a second sector here. If he's gained some time, it's going to be... he's off. Yeah, I think any chance he can pull here is, backing off, or... He's got about 2 minutes to go. Yeah, no, yeah. If he keeps this lap, he's not going to have the time to go around again. Fuel lights on, so I think this may be curtains.
It is not. He comes around the final corner to start another run on the run to the line. He does improve, 13.9. He knows he could have done a lot better on that lap. Tom is invalidated, though, and that is going to be music to Jensen's ears, but he's not going for another run, it seems. Jensen, he is backed off, and that means, obviously, Tom leads the way still. Jensen is, not going on a lap. He's coming through the first sector very slowly. Noah goes fourth. Good lap time from him. Zorma also there, just starting up on a lap. Dara is just starting up on a lap. Lynx is just starting up on a lap. Daniel, though, in the middle sector, is invalidated. So, we're trying to see if anybody's on a run. Colesbury, I think, has just came across the line as well. And Meti C looks like he could get disqualified if he's not careful. He's parked up the inside of turn number 1, gets the car rotated around, so clearly he's gone for spin. And Fleddy, there's also invalidated. Nobody is on a lap.
No one is on a lap here. So, it's a little bit of a interesting situation. Some drivers are invalidated, other drivers are gunning it.
Hyper's desynced, I think. I can see his middle sector, and look at his middle sector. I think Hyper's desynced.
Yeah, I see him lagging around the circuit as well. I think he is desynced at least a little bit. It seems okay, at least his time-wise, but yeah, he is kind of lagging around the place, so I do worry he may have a bit of a desync here. And he's starting P3, so that may not be good, at the very least. I have nothing else really to say on that, because, if he's desynced, he needs to kind of get it sorted. But, yeah, that's all I got, really. We'll see. He's crossed the line here. Yeah, he's lagging around that last corner here. And it's going to be it almost was a 111. It said 117 on the screen. Yeah, he's desynced or lagging horribly. And that's in the session.
Yep, Zoidema has retired from the session. Jensen is done as well. Tom, by the way, is invalid. Oh, and he's nearly lost it coming through turn 10 as well. Really pushing to try and get maybe a little bit more practice in. MTC is also retired, coming in the pit lane. I don't think anybody is actually on a lap. Hyper is not. He's actually lost a bit of front wing. Running down and towards turn 1. How on earth has he done that? He is completely desynced, I think.
Yeah, he spun on my camera. He spun coming to the line and hit the wall. So that's what happened on my screen. As he came to the last corner, he spun the wheel, and he just boomed into the wall. Hard to explain, but that's what happened. Tom retired, Noah, cool down lap, Lynx invalidated, Aries just crossed the line, Flatty on a slow lap. So yeah, that is session done. Tom first, Jensen second, Hyper third. Hyper may be a bit of a counter peg. Other than that, though, Noah fourth, and Zoidem your top 5.
I'm going to inform everyone in the chat, if I can. What is Hyper's... it's TB Hyper, isn't it?
I believe. I can help you out on this one if I take a second here.
I've warned everyone in the chat just because we don't want anything to happen. Obviously, Funky Chicken can now make a decision. We've reached the end of qualifying. Hyper's there in third, so he will obviously start there in third position. But Hyper is desynced to narrow end. We can tell he's desynced narrow end because the timings... He's saying he doesn't think so. We think so, and I definitely think so, because his middle sector and his final sector was jumping all about. Never know, it might actually just fix itself in the race. It could just be one of these weird glitches that actually happens. But Tom there out on top, Jensen second, Hyper in third. We'll run you through the full grid order now, and it is Tom out on top from Jensen in second, 2/10 for second between the front two. Hyper there in third from Noah in fourth, Zoidema in fifth, Dara there in sixth, Lynx in seventh, Daniel in eighth, Colesbury ninth, Aries ran off the top 10, and then it's Funky Chicken, MedTC, and Fleddy not getting a lap time in, down there in 13th position, but Tom there out on top, Jensen second, Hyper in third, sets us up for a very good race, and perhaps, the battle for the ages.
Yeah, good battle at the very least. Again, Hyper, I just want to say one thing on Hyper. He was lagging on my screen as well, so maybe not 100% of desync, but definitely something going on there at the very least. But yeah, Jensen and Tom, they're going to have a battle for the ages here at the very least, and I think Tom knows what situation he's in, Jensen as well. It's not an all-in move yet for Tom, but he's definitely going to have to be very aggressive here if he wants to get back in this fight, because one more bad race, and you can probably set sail to any chance of him bringing home the title. And by the way, looking at the chat, Buck also agrees with me that he thought you said punctures instead of punches.
That's me and fast commentary and a northern accent. That's all that could be blamed, I think, on that one. But obviously, getting into the race now, Tom out on top, Jensen in second. What does Jensen have to do from P2 on the grid to get that run in towards turn number 1 and to get ahead?
He has to get a good start off the line. He has to get a good jump, and he's just got to just get the timing. It's going to come down to start, because if you don't get as good of a start, you're not going to get a good toe down the 1. And I think, again, Jensen's in a situation where racecraft matters. He wants to get ahead and take the lead, but at the same time, he doesn't want to go side by side with his enemy and end up getting cut off and spun around, and next thing you know, he's 11th at the end of the lap 1. So it's kind of a risk-reward situation, and honestly, if Jensen doesn't get a good start, isn't going side by side in the 1, I think he plays it conservatively, and he just settles in the second and just kind of plays a station, because there's no reason for him to risk throwing it all away on lap 1.
Yeah, I know Jensen has got considerable amount of pace, though, around this track, as has Tom. Should set up for a really good race. My voice is already going. Goodness me, this is not good. It's because UK finished second in Eurovision, by the way, and I was shouting last night quite a lot, because it is the first second position since 1998. Best result since 1998 in Eurovision. Not like anybody cares.
I was going to say, I don't want to be mean, but I know I can be a ramble on some things, but as an American, I never got the hype of Eurovision, and I know that may be a cardinal sin to some European viewers of being in a European commentary league, but yeah, I don't get the excitement of Eurovision. I don't really understand. So I guess that's just maybe an American thing.
Oh, we've got America Vision though, isn't it? Or what was it? America Song Contest. That was on.
Yeah, they tried that. I never watched it because it didn't intrigue me. I think it got okay ratings. I don't know. I don't know what NBC did, but anyway. Yeah, I never got the hype of it. But then again, there's probably some things I'll be like, oh, have you seen this? And like coming on a NASCAR rant, like NASCAR, yeah, crazy American. But anyway, whatever floats each other's boats.
Yeah, definitely. So Tom leading the way, Jensen second, Hyper there, and third. Of course, we're on the formation lap. Top 10, bar Aries qualifying on that set of soft compound and tie. Aries there on a set of mediums, as is Funky Chicken. My TC is going for a set of hards, so clearly wants to go one-stop strategy. As, funny enough, the predicted pit stop strategy comes up. Lap 10 to 13, lap 21 to 23 for two-stop strategy. And that might be the order of the day around here. And Fleddy, interestingly, going set of soft compound and ties. But the thing is, MTC, Funky Chicken, Aries, going mediums and hard suggests that we're going to have a full dry race.
Yeah, I don't think really I don't see any rain really happening here. Mexico can get rain, but I doubt it, especially looking at these weather. So, yeah, it's going to probably be a full dry race here, because if not, we would have saw the rest of the field maybe run softs or possibly mediums. Yeah,
definitely. So, final cars are now coming around the grid. Pepsi, who is your top three?
Tom, Jensen, and let's go random card here, Zoidema.
Oh, I was going to go Zoidema P3 as well. Do you know what? I'm going to go Tom, Jensen. Oh, there's nobody really else I could pick. Noah, P3. There you go.
I was actually going to go Dargan Smith. That was my second choice.
That was got a good chance. Lynx has got a good chance. Watch out for ATC as well on that one-stop strategy. But the 5 red lights are coming out here, hopefully. Oh, very weird on our end in terms of the timings. 5 red lights are now on, and it is... Lights and away we go. Very quick start, actually, by Daniel in the background, getting into 6th position off the start, and Tom leads the way in towards Sun 1. Jensen has slept off the start, and Hyper is alongside him, running towards Sun 1, and we've got 3 wide in the background, because Noah, Zoidema, and Lynx are all side by side, in towards Sun 1, but Tom will hold the lead. Jensen has to force the inside line on Hyper. There's a bit of desync going on. There's a McLaren and a Mercedes inside of each other. That's Lynx and Zoidema, I think, so Lynx is through and he's into 5th. Hyper gets off track on wide and gets the position done on Jensen. Noah now side by side, though, on the right-hand side and towards turn number 4. Needy goes into the back of Hyper, but absolutely masters him round the outside line. Needy into the back of Hyper, causes a bit of Constantino effect, and Jensen, championship leader, is now on the back foot because there's Lynx down the inside line. It's getting a bit aggressive early on between these guys. No pulling punches here, as now Noah goes down the inside line through turn 7, off track, gets the move done though, and he's through and he's into 3rd. Tom Hyper, the front 2, from Noah there in 3rd, Lynx in 4th, Jensen there in 5th, and Jensen, has he got damage up the the start because he's just been absolutely swamped by the pack behind him.
I think he got caught napping on that quick start, because I know we thought that it was a very quick start there, lights and a glitch. Maybe he got caught napping and didn't get a quick adjustment because Tom just flew off the line, and Hyper and Noah caught him snapping. So, honestly, I think Jensen just got caught sleeping, and now he's playing catch-up. Unless he's got minor damage, but I didn't see him hit anyone. He got a little bit wheel-to-wheel with Noah, but it wasn't really anything that I would say would give him damage. So, yeah, he's currently a net P5, and he's now on the back foot, just a little bit too cautious or a little bit too asleep at the wheel. But we'll just see as they shake up here. Top 12 all in a blanket. Again, the question is now we see the Haas Carlos be making a move on Daniel, and he'll successfully make it for 8th. But yeah, Jensen is going to have to be aggressive here at the very least.
Yeah, Funky Chicken has left the session. Hopefully that doesn't think his Aries absolutely dives it down the inside line of Daniel through turn number 4. Daniel made a mistake coming through turn number 1, went locking up on the brakes, and now Fleddy's up on the inside line of Aries as well, and the former TTG man has just been outmastered by the new TTG man. Fleddy through and he's into 10th on a set of soft compound tyres, and he's made 3 positions off the start, but Aries, Med TC and Funky Chicken all dropping down the field, but Tom leading the way from Hyper there in 2nd, Noah in 3rd, Lynx in 4th. Jensen is on the back of Lynx. He's struggling though. You can just tell he is struggling early on. Out of the rhythm, out of shape so far, and in terms of the point swing at the minute, Tom is going to be getting a big point swing at this stage. Of course, we're only on lap 2, so take that with a pinch of salt, but it looks like Jensen perhaps is going to get the run on Lynx. Remember, no DRS is actually enabled until turn number 11 on this lap, because this DRS zone and the one down towards turn number 4 shares the same detection point, so that's why it doesn't come online, and that is why Jensen is getting left in his wake by Lynx. Lynx is 7/10 clear now running down the straight, and it's really impressive pace from Lynx. Jensen is really on the back foot.
Honestly, I would generally say this, is that if you put the United States GP and this Mexican GP right now in the starts against each other, and you said, which race did Jensen have his surgery and raced right after would be, you'd probably say the Mexican GP, because he seems kind of a back foot here. But, yeah, very weird. Must have just lost his rhythm. But with someone like Jensen, you don't usually see that. So, very odd, as now Noah's lost a second to Hyper. Hyper is pulling away from Noah, so I think the bigger shock here, besides Jensen as well, falling to 5th, is Hyper's in 2nd and looking pretty strong.
Yeah, and there's no glitch, by the way, on our end now in terms of the timing, so it must have just been a weird glitch of desync maybe at the end of qualifying there. Hyper not lagging either, certainly on my screen, which is good to see. He's there in 2nd position, Noah there in 3rd, the pace is there for him. Hyper 1.2 seconds, now 1.1 has become now through the Ferrosol in towards Peraltada. Jensen though was shooting, going to eye up Lynx down in towards turn 1. Lynx is out of the DRS range actually, in towards the final corner there, and Jensen should get this move done very easily indeed. The Red Bull is now, with the DRS on, ERS just being used up slightly, he's just feathering the ERS there, and he pulls alongside, draws past him, and Jensen through and he's into 4th. Nice move there by Jensen, through and he's into 4th. Lynx not battling that at all, but Lynx's battle I think is going to be later on in the race, because I have a feeling Lynx could try and go more overcut than undercut around here.
Yeah, that could be a strategy call as well. Overcut, undercut. Overcut is a bit potent around here, so it is possible to make it work, especially traffic and other factors. But, yeah, something else, I was kind of looking through telemetry as well. Right now, a lot of drivers using their ERS like it's growing on trees, and that could be a little bit of a thing to come back and bite them, because remember, that Lynx-Jensen battle, Jensen, when he was about to make the pass, was about 40-45% ERS, while Lynx was about 15. So that ERS can help you on the straight to give you just that little extra punch along with your DRS, so saving it is going to be the name of the game here at the very least. And it may be a bit early to save it, as Dara has made a mistake. We saw him cut the corner, and yep, he's hard on the wall there. He'll get it refired, but big lick by Darga Smith, and it looks like he's coming back down to earth after last week's great performance in the United States GP. But yeah, saving ERS is going to probably be a bit of the name of the game here, and if he can't save it that well, you may be left in the dust, as now Hyper's pulled another 8 tenths off Noah, and Jensen's at the fast lap of the race. So Jensen at least has solved some of his boogeymans at the very least.
Yeah, Noah's got absolutely no pace, I think, there in 3rd position. Hyper catches to the back of Tom, not close enough, obviously, down in towards turn number 1. The battle for 3rd's going to heat up, I think. Jensen and Lynx now on the back of Noah. Dara, though, into the pit lane, full from wing damage, and a retirement in the pit lane as well to boot. So Dara retires in the pit lane. To be honest, I don't blame him. It looked like he speared off completely through turn number 11, and that's why, obviously, he lost his front wing, and obviously, I think, then again, lost it through the Feather Soul section, the baseball stadium section, and that is why he's retired out this race. I don't blame him, to be honest. Funky Chicken, though, if he does get back in the session, is there in P12, is going to be picking up at least one extra point, which is good to see. But obviously, if he's lagged out, as literally as I've just said that, he's just joined. Perfect timing there, and Funky Chicken is back in the session. He's 21 seconds behind the rest of the field. I don't think he'll care, to be honest. He could just come into the session and then retire his car. That could be a feasible thing. But points are available. There's a good, 7-8 points, I think, available for Funky Chicken. May as well pick it up because Mercedes need those points for third in the championship.
Yeah, they want to keep third in the championship here, and definitely just for the pride of the team itself. And here comes Jensen, going to get a good run on Noah here. Going to use DRS, use none of his ERS though, but he's just going to go right around Noah like he's sleeping and put Jensen up to third, put Noah down to fourth. And now Jensen's going to set his sights on Hyper, which last time I checked the gap was about 2 seconds, but got to have to wait for timing and scoring to update next time by. So will be a little bit of a time glitch till then. But gap between Hyper and Jensen was about 2 seconds, give or take. Other than that, just seeing who else is in battle here. We got Carlsby and Daniel relatively close. Could see maybe Daniel get a move here. Nah, Daniel's a little bit too far ahead of Carlsby, so not going to happen. But those three, again, a little bit spicy for 7th, 8th, and 9th respectively. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And Hyper is still hounding the back of Tom, so Hyper could maybe make a move on Tom before pit stops happen in a couple laps' time.
Yeah, this is probably one of Hyper's better drives, to be honest, I think, so far this season. Noah's just picked up a penalty as well, so even that is going to egg Hyper on a little bit more. That 3-second penalty hopefully is picked up on his screen with him being in second. Daniel, by the way, got the move done on Carlsby in towards turn number 1. That was an easy move. It was pretty similar to what we saw with Jensen and Noah. Down in towards turn number 1. I thought he went a little bit too deep, but he didn't. Daniel there into 7th, Carlsby there in 8th position. So that was the swap around on that lap around. And Tom looks under pressure for the first time as Darragh has left the session, though we thank him for attending. 7/10 the gap between Tom and Hyper. Hyper's too far back, and I think he's just going to wait and save up a bit of his ERS. And Tom has actually got less ERS than him, so Hyper's really managing his ERS quite well. DRS obviously now enabled, trying to close onto the back of him. Speaking of the closing on the back, Fleddy on the back of Carlsby, 8th and 9th position currently, and I think the McLaren man, the Dutchman, is just going to stay in behind the Finn, and hopefully that Carlsby will stay there in P8, and I think he is probably going to stay there until turn number 4, because Fleddy on the back of him, using up a bit of EOS though, tries to get onto the back of Carlsby, lunges it from an absolute mile back down the inside line, and that was not like a noisy sort of move in TTML F2 in America last week, but Fleddy there, P9, stays there. His intention was to go down the inside line, but you've got to wait your turn, my friend. Wait your turn.
You gotta be patient. We gotta wait for the queue to open. You can't just throw it too deep in there and take each other out, because that's not gonna help anyone, and in turn gonna kind of affect you deeply. So be a little bit more patient there. But I like the spirit, but the execution was a little bit poor. So we'll see what he can do on another time around. Noah's is getting hounded by Lynx here. Gap's about 5/10. Probably not gonna be enough. Well, Noah's actually coming in. So Noah, yeah, he's really struggling with that tire wear. He's got a lot of invalidations and warnings. So, and he's retired. He really must not like this track, because I took a look at the racetrack a couple laps ago, and he was raking up incidents like it was nothing. But yeah, he was already on 2 more warnings on that. He was 1 away from getting 6 seconds worth of time penalties. I think that S section was really affecting him so much that he didn't like it, but he was in a net P4. Even if he got by Jensen, he still had a big gap to Zoidema and then a 5-second gap to Daniel. Speaking of Daniel, yeah, Fleddy and Carlsby.
Fleddy on the back of Carlsby, yeah. Down the outside line goes Fleddy. Carlsby banging wheels with him. What on earth are they doing? In towards turn number 4. Carlsby retains a position. Think that was a little bit of karma back, maybe, from Carlsby there, saying, you want to wheel bang, I will wheel bang back. And that's as good as you're given, I think, is what we've just seen there from Carlsby and Fleddy, 7th and 8th position. But back to Noah's retirement, I'll be honest, he may as well not even shown up tonight. If he wants to play like that, because, I mean, he retired on lap 8. I can totally understand if the circumstances surrounding it and it comes out later on the race, but to actually drive and show up and then retire 8 laps into the race is very, very disappointing. These drivers know better. We know better as a commentary team what we're here for, because retirements like that just make you want to cry, quite literally.
Yeah, it does. The only thing I'll argue is maybe something happened behind the scenes. He had to quickly run off, so I'll give him benefit of the doubt. But if he just retired because he struggled, that's a shame to see. As now we see Fletty make a move on Carlsby. Fletty up 7, Carlsby back down to 8th. But yeah, if it was just because of poor driving standards, that's just a pain to see. But anyway, Zoidema, though, on the hound in the back of Lynx as well. We got Aries and Carlsby's fighting. Carlsby got past double move there. So Carlsby going to go down to 9th, Aries to 8th, Fletty's still in 7th. So yeah, Carlsby's struggling a little bit in the Haas, it seems, and looks like the tires are kind of starting to come off. He looks like he didn't manage them as well, and Aries' medium start to come to life, at the very least. But yeah, still top 2, nothing really to change, and Jensen not making that much inroads on Hyper, which is kind of shocking at the very least. You think he'd be getting a little bit closer, and just shows that Hyper, at least at Mexico, is a bit of the real deal. And hope now I'm going to knock on wood to not jinx the Haas machine.
Fletty's just picking up a 3-second time penalty there in 7th position. Tom though leads the way. Hyper there in 2nd. Jensen there in 3rd. Tom, is he coming in the pit lane? No, stays out. Hyper is also staying out. To stay at least one more lap. Jensen does the same. Lynx does the same. And do you know what? I think they're all doing the same, to be honest. We've got another comment there in the comment section. Just trying to get it up on my end. I reckon I would do well in this tier. Totally agree. There was a yellow flag briefly there. Was that for Funky Chicken by any chance? No, it was for Carlsby. Carlsby. Oh, spun into the pit lane. He's been reset to track. He's been reset to track. He's spun into the pit lane. Not sure if that was... I'm not saying it was on purpose. I think he's just overheated the tyres, basically, and he spun through the final corner on the curb. I think he's got front wing damage as well, if I'm not mistaken. And that is an absolute shame for Carlsby. He's been reset to track. And, I mean... I don't blame him for being reset to track because he was sideways, literally going in the pit lane. It was almost as if there was sort of like magic wizardry going on in that car.
Yeah, he was just drifting and he lost it and it shot him back in the pit lane. So bit of a kick in the teeth moment, but yeah, just overheat tires, no real purpose at the very least. And yeah, just had to get spun back around here. But yeah, that's just one Haas doing well, the other one is really struggling. So. Yeah, you hate to see it. We'll see if anyone else pits this time by. Anyone take the hard right in the pit lane here. Tom's staying out. Hyper staying out. Something just happened.
Hyper's just nearly spun and done the same thing through the final corner. His tyres are overheating as anything, and he's just nearly lost in the wall coming out the final corner. Luckily recovered the car. It's a really good save in the end. But Hyper there in 2nd. Jensen there in 3rd. Zordema's on the back of Lynx, perhaps going to get the move done. Is he going to risk it down the inside line? No. Zordema waiting behind for 4th position. But Hyper, I think a little bit of the brown stuff came out for him there in 2nd position. Jensen there in 3rd, and now Jensen, as a result, is within that DRS range.
Yeah, now he's in that range. That kind of gave a little bit of a fight to him. Now Zoidema going to make a move on the inside of Lynx, and Zoidema will make the pass on Lynx. So good pass there, patient, waited for his opportunity to strike, and he got it through. So good on Zoidema there. Jens has really caught the back of Hyper. I think Hyper is now basically lost his form at the very least, or lost his mojo, and he's probably going to be coming in this time by because those tires are way too cooked, and I think he needs to come in now before he loses even more time, and if he doesn't, Jens is going to hound him like a dog. So Jensen is going... I'm sorry, Hyper probably going to pit this time by, I wouldn't be shocked, but if anyone else going to go in as well. So we'll see if Tom comes in the last couple corners here. Will Tom decide to pull in at the very least? He will, just holding on, not making any indication. No, he's staying out. Will Hyper get off those tires? Yeah, he'll come in. I figured he would. Jensen going to stay out. So looks like the Haas boys not really good at conserving the tires, but it seems like the rest of the field is at least doing an okay job at it. Anyone else going to come in? Daniel's staying out, Fletty staying out, Aries staying out, MedTC obviously going to stay out, along with Chicken and Carlsby, because Carlsby just pitted. So yeah, only driver coming in is Hyper that time by, and it's going to put him probably behind the 8 ball a little bit on strategy, but if he stayed those tires any longer, he was going to be a sit and duck anyway, so he was kind of screwed either way he chose it.
Yeah, but look at how much clear air he's going to come out into. He's going to be about 6 seconds, 7 seconds behind MedTC coming out of the pit lane. But mediums, I know for a fact, are actually quite good around this track. And the mediums are the tyres to be on when you get towards the end of the race. 24 laps on a set of mediums should last, but if Hyper goes too hard too early on those tyres, he will be in trouble. And he nearly spun again, coming through turn number 3 on the curb. Doesn't want to do that any more than he should, because the German there in 9th position definitely struggled in terms of his tyres. Tom, though, leads the way. He has used up a bit more DRS and ERS, actually, at this point, than than the last lap around. So I wonder if Tom was actually going to respond to Hyper coming in the pit lane. If I was Jensen, I'd be in. I'd be into the pit lane this lap around, because Tom, there in the lead of the race, is not darting to the right-hand side, and Jensen is continuing as well. So these guys clearly know better than B-Tech James.
Yeah. They really like to go long on the teeth. We saw it last in the United States. We saw it multiple times in a row. They go long on the tooth of the tires, and they make them last, so they have the better strategy at the end. And we now see Daniel coming in, so he'll be the third driver to pit in this field for a fresh set of rubber. But the main soft runners in the top 5 spots are all still staying out at the very least. We know Aries and MedC can go a bit longer because they start on mediums and hards respectively. But yeah, I think saving your tires longer is going to be fresher mediums at the end, and that's what the top 5 wants, and I still just don't think Hyper's home free. I think, as we just saw with the softs, he's going to really be struggling by the end of this race. He may get a slight advantage over Jensen because clear track, but other than that, though, he's really going to be struggling probably by lap 30, 31, 32 range, and we'll see what he does then.
Yeah, Aries on the back of Fleddy, though, is going to be quite an interesting battle. Penalties, by the way, as we are a third of the way through. Fleddy, Aries, 3 seconds. Daniel and Colsbury, 3 seconds as well. They're the only penalties to pick up on, as Lynx has just picked up a penalty as I'm going on board there. 3-second penalty for him. But Aries now, surely he's got the pace in that set of medium compound tyres. Fleddy has been hounding him, trying to force a mistake out of the man in behind. But at this moment in time, Aries is doing a good job. And just flicking back on board with Tom and Jensen. Jensen was very wide, coming through Peril Tarda there. He's lost a good 10th of a second coming across the line. Zoidema there in third. Lynx is into the pit lane. Fleddy is not going to be following in, so Aries and Fleddy are going to battle, and this now means the mediums definitely coming into play compared to the Southern softs. There should be an easy move by the German on the back of the Dutchman, and Aries now pulls to the right-hand side, absolutely draws across and draws to the line to go into P4. So Aries through and he's into 4th. Fleddy there in 5th. Nice move there by the Shazoo Academy driver on the TTG man. Former TTG man passes new TTG man, as I said earlier on in commentary, and Lynx out of the pit lane is ahead of Daniel by around 3 seconds coming out the pits.
Yeah, that's a big gap there at the very least, so Lynx going to get well clear of Daniel. I did take a look at the incidents while I was covering that. I took a look at what would be our net top 4 before pit stops, which would have been Tom, Hyper, Jensen, Zoidema, and they're all pretty clean for warnings for the most part. There may be one here, one there. Well, speaking of warnings, I think Hyper just got a back-to-back there, so Hyper going to get 3, so take him off the boards. But the other 3, though, all pretty clean on warnings, 1 or none to their name, so they are running pretty much a clean race here, so clean may be the name of the game if you want to take advantage. As we saw last week in the United States, as I now see Tom coming in here, probably going to be first set of mediums. Will Jensen follow him in? Only time will tell. Yes, he will. Will Zoidema come in as well? Yes, he will. So last of the major soft runners, excluding Fleddy, but Fleddy will probably also pull in as well here. Yes, he will. So that will inherently lead to Aries on his mediums and MedTC in second on his hards. And then the next fastest car will be Tom, who will be probably P3. But just to finish my point, clean is the name of the game. We saw in the United States that ripped Tom a new one last week. And if Tom can't keep it clean this week, it could also cost him as well. So he'll just come out.
Hyper's right on the back of Tom, coming out the pits. Look at this. The Hassman goes to the outside line on Tom. He's got the overrun. Is he going to get the move? Yes, he does. Hyper is ahead of Tom. Big undercut by Hyper. He now takes the net lead of the race. Tom, I think, is going to be very happy with that, though. He's got a target to aim at and be in front of him. And he's also got MedTC in front. And I was going to come to this point, actually. MedTC being in second position, he's 2 seconds ahead of Tom. Jensen is 3.9 seconds behind. Can MedTC do a Perez strategy like we saw in Abu Dhabi in real life and back up Hyper and Tom into Jensen? That is the ploy from the Red Bull team.
That could be a strategy there. And the question is, does MedTC want to do that for Jensen? The gap is 3.5 seconds. And another strategy, though, is Tom has a target to chase, but at the same time, if he's faster than Hyper, or if Hyper's tires, I wouldn't say starting to fall off, but if Hyper is a little bit slower than Tom, Tom is going to get a little bit antsy behind both drivers. So right now, this is what Jensen wants to see. 2 cars ahead of him, and it's 2 2 moving targets that Tom will have to pass if he wants to kind of keep his gap. So a bit of a conundrum, if you will. His gap's already going down 2 tenths, and here comes Tom. Going to get a good toe on Hyper. Easy done, easy squeezy, lemon peasy. And that is going to be Tom in third, Hyper down to 4th. And now he's going to get around MedTC in second. He's got to try to make that sooner rather than later. He'll have DRS on this next straight, and MedTC is DRSing, so it could happen.
Yep, turn 4 it'll be. Tom's right on the back of MedTC. This is going to be the easiest overtakes you will see all night. Pulls to the inside line. MedTC does not want to fight this at all, and Tom just moves across to the right-hand side just for good effect. Blocks MedTC off just in case he does anything stupid, and Tom now through, and he's into second position. Rolling roadblocks who? Tom now into second. MedTC in third, Hyper in fourth, and now Jensen has got to worry about MedTC and Hyper, but MedTC can hold up Hyper to his heart's content, but surely on these tyres it's going to be Hyper's move, maybe even in towards turn number 12. He gets a really good run at this S section, which he kind of does. MedTC that was got DRS still, so MedTC will hold there in P3, Hyper there in P4. People saying in the comment section, by the way, F4 clear? No, F1's way cleaner than what we saw in F4, certainly on Friday. It was a shame and a shambles, to be honest, to commentate on that, but still, Hyper on the back of MedTC. This should be the Hassman on the back of the Finn, getting this move done down the straight, you would imagine. Is he going to pull maybe to the inside line? Even before turn 1, you know what's coming. Hyper draws past, pulls through, and he's into third position. So Hyper through, and he's into third. MedTC now out the way. Jobs are good.
Yep. One thing we didn't really talk about was that pit stop window. Is Hyper cleared 3 seconds on Jensen when the gap was only 3/10, and just shows the power of the undercut there. But he's going to have less strong tires by the end, though, so Jensen's going to play catch-up. And remember, Jensen doesn't have a time penalty, Hyper does, so a little bit of a worth note moment as well, but just shows the power of the undercut at the very least, that Hyper was able to get that on 2-lap pressure mediums, 2-lap undercut there, I should say, was able to cut about 2.5 to 3 seconds to Tom, and if he was just still on the back of Tom, that could have been a 3-second gap easily, so just shows undercut is powerful at the very least. If he pitted 1 lap earlier, it probably would have worked, but if some butts candy nuts, Tom gets a 3, so, shades of United States, if Jensen could just get in within range, that's not good for Tom, but Tom at least has a bigger gap than Jensen this time to work with, but that could be the nail in the coffin, possibly, if he can't get clear. So, something to keep an eye on, at least for the rest of this race.
Yeah, Hyper's he's just gone out of DRS range coming through the final corner. No, he's actually got it. He's got DRS range. Yeah, he's the detection point is through, the detection point's through the middle sectors. Another wonder he's picked up the DRS detection point through the Ferrosol there, and Hyper does have the DRS, and he remains on the back. Jensen, though, surely MedTC, if Jensen and MedTC is in the party, I would instruct MedTC to slow up, give him DRS, then MedTC to come in the pit lane, go on to set a soft compound tyre. Jensen then gets DRS that way. Will that work though? Because it seems like Jensen is hemorrhaging time compared to Tom and Hyper, and that is all because they're stuck in the DRS train. Hyper's still in the slipstream of Tom, and Jensen has only got his teammate to help in front of him, and then he's in absolute no man's land because the nearest battle to him is Lynx and Zordimer, and he's 3 seconds behind.
Yeah, he'd have to laugh horribly, and then with the time penalties, that wouldn't work, and he needs to kind of attack. So he needs his teammate to be a helper rear gunner here. He'll get some DRS. The activation point's right here, so he'll get it. So he'll have DRS for this long run down straight 1, so he'll have it for that. But yeah, if he passes him, they could try to go back and forth past each other on straights to try to tow each other along, but since Jensen's way faster than MedTC, that wouldn't work because MedTC would just hold Jensen up during the S section. So they're kind of in a weird situation here. Jensen's obviously, he's going to get a tow down here. They're about the same ERS. Should be a pass done here. Going to get the tow down, past the Fanatec sign, but he's not close enough. No, he's going to get a tow here. Yeah, he'll get it. Yeah, he'll get it. I was thinking like he's just a little bit too far back, but no, that's a longer straight than I was imagining. So yeah, Jensen gets it. MedTC down to 5th. But 3.6 seconds is the game to Hyper, and Hyper is still within DRS of Tom. I think Tom's best friend is Hyper right now because that gives a buffer car between him and Jensen in the point standings.
Yeah, Hyper is really being dragged along by Tom, and this is actually helping out Tom more than what it actually is with Hyper. And I can't believe I'm saying that because Tom has got more ERS. He's got 30% ERS. Hyper's got 17%, so it's about 15% more at this stage Tom has got over Hyper. Might not seem like much, but that coming towards the end of the race is going to be quite a lot, I've got to say. But Hyper there in 3rd position, Jensen now in 4th. It's 3.4 seconds, so the gap has come down. Now that Jensen's in clear air, he is draining that battery. And that is going to work, again, into Hyper and Tom's favour. They've caught Aries. This is just only going to exacerbate them on a little bit more. They've got the DRS. Jensen hasn't. Jensen has simply got no chance, I think, think, in this race now to win this. But this is Jensen. This is the championship leader. Not ruling them out at all. But at this stage in the race, certainly, as now Tom pulls out on, as Matey sees into the pit lane, Tom pulls out on Aries, gets the job done, and he's through, and he's into the lead of the race. Aries there in second, Hyper now in third, and Hyper's the one maybe getting held up by Aries. If he doesn't get him towards turn number 4, he's going to be caught right in the middle sector. If Hyper, though, can get this move done now, this is going to be absolutely crucial. He's pulling in, but he's derating down the straight. He's got no chance catching back up. And Aries will hold P2 and will hold them up in the middle sector. So Jensen has got a saving grace, and it's the Alpine in front.
Yeah, the Alpine, though, is in the front as well, and it could give him that as Tom is about to pull away here. Activation point, it's now 1 second to Aries. Yeah, that's going to throw Hyper off connection point, and it's going to allow Jensen possibly a target to chase down here. One other thing I do want to say is taking a look at the incidents. Hyper's already got 2 warnings here. He's really been struggling through this X section here. If he gets another, it puts him up to 6. Here he comes. He's going to give him a bit of a toe push there, and he's going to follow him off, and he's going to make the pass, but a little bit too late, unless he can really get a toe in. There's that 3-second warning, so that's going to put him up to 6. So making it a little bit easier for Jensen to get second at the very least. But one other thing worth noting, Jensen also has 2 warnings as well, so keep a note on that as well in the back of your memory banks.
Yeah, 3.2 seconds now the gap. He's only gained 0.2 of a second, believe it or not, after that. Hyper was basically pushing Aries through the final couple of corners. Aries, by the way, has got DRS, so he is going to come back at him down the straight. Obviously not going to catch, and he's not going to obviously overtake him in towards turn number 1. However, somebody that might, though, is Zoidberg on the back of Lynx in towards turn number 1. He thinks about going for the move, and he sends it down on the inside line just before turn number 1. Zoidberg through, and he's into 5th position. Zoidberg, actually being in reserve, has shown very, very good pace here tonight. He's there in a net P4. Aries still to come in the pit lane. He's going to be on a set of softs. Now, the problem with Aries on that set of mediums is he doesn't want to come in the pit lane too early. 15 laps on a set of on a set of soft compound tyres will work, but by lap 11, lap 12 on that set of softs, they're going to be dying, and that is what Aries has got to weigh up. Does he stay out for another 2 or 3 laps where I think he'll get the tyres to the end under 70%? Yona was saying to me in the TTML F2 interview, and their tyres, they did 16, 17 laps on that set of soft compound tyres, and they were worn to 83% out on track.
Yeah, that's a bit of a question mark there. That just shows you don't want to come in too early here. So if he comes in now, he definitely be struggling, at least the risk of a puncture, and throw in a chance of getting some good points.
Oh.
Yeah, he's going to stay out. Oh, he's coming in, yeah.
Oh, God.
Maybe feels confident in his ability to save those tires, or maybe doesn't feel like it's a puncture rating, but yeah, probably could have went 1 or 2 more laps, but I think he thought he'll risk the dice here and try to get as many spots as he can because he doesn't want to lose too much time to Daniel or Flatty or MedTC, so he's taking a risk, but it could end up blowing up in his face big time.
Yeah,
yeah.
Go on.
No, that's all I have to say. I was going to ask something else, but I forgot what I was going with.
Yeah, Aries coming out of the pit lane. He's going to be 6 seconds behind. At least he's in clear air. That's going to help him along. But it's actually not going to help him along because he's having to use up more of his tyres, basically. And the more he uses up those tyres, the more worn they'll be, essentially, at the end of the race. And he's got 15 laps to do, as I say, on those set of soft compound tyres. I will not be surprised in the Discord later on if he comes up and says he's had 80% tyre wear on those tyres. Because Aries normally can tyre manage quite well. On that sort of soft compound tyres, though, around a track which has got very high tyre degradation as it has here, that is why Aries, I think, is going to struggle. Battle, by the way, for the wooden spoon at this minute in time. 10th and 11th, Carsby and Funky Chicken. Not going to get close enough, though, the Brit on the back of the Finn. But 21 lap all mediums. Funky Chicken has been out there. Of course, he desynced out of the session on the first couple of laps, I think. So the Mercedes there in 11th position, staying in behind Carsby. But Funky Chicken has got pace on those 21 lap all mediums. He essentially hasn't been driving his car for half the race, so they're literally like 10 lap fresh mediums at this stage, even though he's now dropping off the pace slightly.
Yep, he's going to fall to pace a little bit there, and yeah, he's made those tires work. The AI was probably a little bit conservative there on his rubber, so yeah, he'll be probably fresh off to the end. He has caught the back Carlos at the very least, so a little bit of a consolation prize at the very least that he may not ran a good chunk of this race, but he'll at least be able to catch someone and race someone. So at least some consolation prize for Funky Chicken on that regard. Lynx still hounding the back of Zoidema, but not really any close to making a pass. Jensen is slowly reeling in Hyper now that Hyper doesn't have DRS, which is something I don't know if Tom wants because it's kind of a catch-22 because I was thinking about that a couple laps ago, that does Tom try to maybe get Hyper back to DRS, but he could also maybe tow his worst enemy, Jensen, back to the range as well, so it's kind of a risk-reward situation. And he obviously left him to the Wolves, so Hyper is probably going to get caught by Jensen for the end this thing is through, and they're going to get a bit scrappy, and could be at least kind of worth noting, but right now, Hyper's still in second, but Jensen slowly catching. You can hear the Jaws music in the distance, slowly reeling him in as he's gaining probably about a tenth or two every lap with those 3-lap pressure mediums. But yeah, everyone's just kind of holding station, running their own races, and just kind of waiting for opportunity to strike.
Yeah, Link's purring on the back of Zordima. He's still waiting and behind for now. However, I think he might try and go for the move here. No, he doesn't, because he downs into 7th gear, the cheeky little so-and-so. Stays in 5th gear, remains in behind Zordima, and doesn't want to go for any sort of move. It's Tom that leads the way, Hyper there in second, Jensen in third. Somebody's just picked up a 3-second penalty. I think it was Daniel that picked it up, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was.
Now on 6 seconds, yeah, it was on 3. It's now up to 6 seconds, though. Tom on 3, Hyper on 6. Jensen's got none at the minute, neither Zordima. Lynx has got 3 seconds. He's on the back of Zordima at this point in time. Daniel on 6, Fleddy on 9, Aries on 3, Metis got nothing, Carsbury on 6, and Funky Chicken has got nothing. And speaking of Funky Chicken, he goes through on Carsbury, and he's down into turn 1 in P number 10. So the Brit is through on the Finn. The Finn with fresher tyres, though, you'd imagine he'll try and fight back. Even with Funky Chicken's 1-bar connection, Carsbury is going to try and fight back on this move, but the DRS is there in the Mercedes' favour, and he's now into P10. And outmastered him, but he still, of course, has got to come in the pit lane before the end of the race, otherwise he'll get disqualified.
Yep, he'll have to come in and definitely pit for a fresh set of tires. You can't... I mean, you could do an Albon in Australia and go 35 out of 36 if you're feeling daring, and just try to pit for 1 lap, or maybe 34 if you want to go for the fastest lap. But yeah, he's definitely going to pit at least for the end of this thing here. We got Aries on Fleddy. Aries hounding the back of Fleddy here. Yeah, it's going to happen probably with clockwork, whether Fleddy wants it to or not. Good toe down the straight here. You can see Fleddy de-resing, and that is going to be enough for Aries to go right on by, and the McLaren going to fall down to 8th. And Jensen has got within a second of Hyper, so definitely is keeping a note on that as well. So battle's starting to shake up a little bit here. Aries just got around Fleddy. Lynx and Zoyam is still just kind of holding station. I think Lynx is waiting until the end to make that move. And Jensen has reeled in Hyper within a second, and we may see this move sooner than it is. Now Chicken has come in for his pit stop of the race.
I love it how he just overtook Carsbury and then he's just into the pit lane. Funky Chicken into the pit lane.
It was
down there in 11. He is going to go fresh set of soft compound tyres though, so that could be a possible fastest lap attempt. Jensen now needs to drain a bit of his battery because he's now right on the brink of getting within a second of Hyper. Hyper again has gone too hard too early on those set of mediums. He pitted in 3 laps younger basically than Jensen. They're now 3 laps older as the race has gone on, and Jensen once again is not in the DRS detection point. Coming out of peril, Tada. Tom leads the way with 11 laps to go. Hyper there in second, Jensen third, Zordima in fourth. Gotta say though, this race I think needs crying out for a safety car or a VSC or something to liven things up, because it has been a little bit repetitive, a little bit boring here tonight, and I said it was going to be one of the battle for the ages. So you can't get everything in turn. Aries though, you can get P6 down the straight perhaps on Daniel, not even use up any battery at all, and look at the straight line speed he has got to the outside line in towards turn number 1, and Aries is through and he's into P6 before he even reaches the corner, and I think Lynx also got Zoidberg as well.
Yeah, I think Lynx did get Zoidberg as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he did, 4th to 5th, so he waited, and eventually got that move done. So Lynx could have made that move on Zoidema. Aries on Daniel, like you said, but Aries, I don't think he's going to get 6 seconds to Zoidema. And remember, Zoidema doesn't even have a time penalty, so that makes that even harder. So now Medjc gets 3 as well. I think that is first penalty of the race. So right now, the only drivers that don't have penalties are Jensen, Zoidema, and Chicken. So hats off to them at the very least for keeping it clean around Mexico track. It's very tricky, like Canada, to keep it relatively clean because of the twisty-ass section among other places. And it's very easy just to go a little bit too wide and ring up a little bit of a penalty. So good on them to at least keep that relatively clean on those fronts. But yeah, Zoidman though probably going to answer back at the very least. Aries gets another 3, so add him up to 6, making that road even harder. And then Jensen on Hyper's pitting.
What? I told you he went too hard too early. Hyper's in the pit lane now for set of soft compound tyre. This would be. And he's going to be on fresher tyres. What concerns me, though, is going to have a lot of traffic to come through. He's got Fleddy, Daniel, Aries more immediately on their stints ahead. And Hyper's coming out of the pit lane behind all 3 of them.
Yeah, no, he won't get jumped by Metsi. Metsi's way too far behind. But yeah, he's going to have to try to chase him down. And we know, like you said, lap 11 with the tires start to kind of fall off. So he's probably going to get Fleddy. He'll probably get to Daniel, but then you also got to remember time penalties are in consideration. So even if he gets close, well, they're all on 9, so it's fine. If you pass him, he'll pass him on track for realsies. But then Aries is the weird wild card that I think he's only going to go high up to 6, so unless those tires clearly weren't going to make it, why pit? It just feels like just hold on and just make it work. Now, obviously, if a safety car comes out in the next lap or two, he's going to look beautiful because he can stay out, everyone else will have to pit, but that's the only way I see this working out because he's only going to go 2 more spots and he's going to be a net loss.
Yeah, I think so. Aries, by the way, 4.6 seconds. Gap has been coming down. Not at the rate as what we're thinking, but this is exactly the same as what Yona and there was another driver in F2 who I forgot his name, but they were on a set of soft compound tyres right at the end of the race, and they managed to last out. Yona was on a set of mediums. It was Noziek who was on a set of soft compound tyres, and that set of soft compound tyres lasted him up to a second, basically, up until a point. Now, the question I'm going to ask you, Pepsi, is Aries is 4.6 seconds away. We've got 8 laps to go in this race. Can he catch Zoinema before those tyres run out? I doubt it.
I doubt it as well. And like I said, even if he does, 6 seconds worth of time penalties, so it wouldn't matter a lot anyway. So, yeah, right now his main thing is to try to stay ahead of Daniel Fletty, which he's doing well of. And,
or his Hyper.
Yeah. Ooh, Hyper. Easy. Making a move on Fletty. Yep. I saw Carlsby pitting there for a second, so I thought that was a warning for the Haas pitting, but no, he just pitted. So yeah, Hyper makes a move on Fletty. Hyper 7th, Fletty down to 8th. And next car in line is Daniel, who's 2.5 of the road. He'll easily get him before it's all done. Chicken gets around Carlsby, so Chicken, after the race he's had, he gets P10. That's good to see from at least the funkiest of chickens.
Yeah, and he has got a big undercut, by the way. I'm not sure if Carlsby made a mistake somewhere out on track. The gap was only about 3/4 tenths of a second. The gap's now 8 seconds. So how's Funky Chicken done that in 2 laps to pull out 8 seconds? Carlsby must have made a similar mistake actually out on track. Zordimer is trying to get the DRS on the back of Lynx. He has managed to get the DRS. It is sweaty, by the way, in my commentary box now at the minute. It is very, very warm all of a sudden. And Tom leads the way from Jensen second, Lynx and third. We have now got 8 laps to go in this race. If I can count, yeah, 8 laps to go in this race. Hyper on the back of Daniel, 1.1 seconds away. This probably be the next battle because Lynx and Zordimer are having their private fight there for third. But Tom in a different league out in front. 6 seconds of gap. Oh my god, Hyper has just Tokyo drifted it through turn number 3. That was insane from the Haas man. Again, a little of the brown stuff came out there, but it was a nice Tokyo drift. I rate him about 8 out of 10 for that one. But Hyper there now on the back of Daniel. Surely going to get the move, I would say, towards turn 12.
Yeah, he's definitely going to about make that move going into turn 12 here. He's going to have to be a little bit patient. He's probably going to go for it. So we'll see how aggressive he decides to be and see how aggressive he tries to take it. So we'll see if he can do it and see if he can make it happen. No, he will not.
He won't. He got thrown out of the dirt. Yeah, actually, no, Daniel's going to let him through, so he is going to get him. But Daniel has now put him into a really good tactical position, actually, from Daniel's perspective, because he's going to get, if he's not going to go to the end of the race, he's going to go, obviously, DRS detection, and he will have that DRS down the straight, so it's a bit tactical, but I think he wanted to let Hyper go instead of battling him. I totally respect that. And Daniel's now through and he's into 7, made it easy for Hyper. Zordimer on the back of Lynx, down the outside line, in towards turn number 1. The McLaren and the Mercedes, and the Mercedes comes out on top. Nice move there by Zordimer. He's through and he's into third. Lynx gets caught on the curb, tries to reclaim the favour back. Has he got the speed? No, because Zordimer's got the DRS, just pulling away down the straight in towards turn number 4. Lynx not going to send it from a mile back. Nicely done by Zordimer. He's through and he's into P number 3. And Jensen, I think, has now resigned on the fact that he's going to finish second in this race. He's just lost another 7/10 of a second to Tom.
Yeah, I was noticing that gap. Remember, a couple laps ago, it was 4, and now it's 6. So he is really struggling. I think he just wants to bring the thing home and not really risk anything happening. So I don't blame him because that's damage limitation. If he holds second, it's like it's a net 0 because remember, it's the same repeat of what happened last week at United States. Except I think the fast lap is in the current camp. Yeah, it's in Camp of Aries. So yeah, it's a repeat of what happened last week. So it's like the United States didn't happen. So no gain, no loss, and with 2 rounds to go, that's what Jensen needs. Only thing worth noting, though, is Aries has caught the back of Lynx and Zoidemus. It's 1.3 seconds, so Aries can at least put up a fight here at the very least and can give Lynx and Zoidema a run for their money.
One thing to try and get onto the back of a driver. Another thing to overtake, because Lynx is going to try and prove that on the back of Zoidberg. They're chopping and changing positions here for third. And Lynx, the Talon Factory man, now through on the Excel man. So he's through and he's into third. Zoidberg there in fourth position. And Ari's there in fifth position. He's 1.8 seconds off. And this is going to be the biggest point now in this race. Can Aries somehow find a bit of traction, especially in this middle sector? The middle sector is the only hope he's really got of catching up to Lynx and Zoidberg, third and fourth position, 1.4 seconds down the gap. Obviously the traction is there, obviously the grip is there, but his tyres are now beginning to go off, and Aries 1.2 seconds. Are we going to see what Noziak happened, what Noziak did, of course, in F2, catch the back of Yona within a second, and then not make any more progress? I think that might be the case, but Aries looks like he's kept those tyres in good check, and now he's within the DRS on Zoidberg and Lynx, certainly down in towards turn number 1.
Yep, that's definitely a good move down the one there. Again, Aries is here. He's ready to spoil the party. Zoidberg going to fight, though, and going to take it back. They are fighting. It is technically the last one at the podium, and they're technically fighting very hard because, you know, it's just for the pride of racing. Lynx gets a good toe down the line there. Zoidberg not going to really have a good answer back here. He's got 71% ERS, though, in favor of Lynx's 3. So I think Zoidberg's just waiting. He knows he can just zoom past him, but he's like, I'm going to save my ERS and make it work, because if you took Lynx's and Aries' ERS, combine the two, times it by 2, it's still not going to get the Zoidberg's number. So Zoidberg just saving his resources, just saving his stuff for the last 4 laps, but hopefully he doesn't wait too long and ends up really shooting himself in the foot there. He needs to attack when the opportunity strikes and not wait till lap 35 or 36.
Yeah, I think Aries, though, his tyres are now beginning to go off. I can certainly see a bit of blistering occurring on the front left. The front left takes the bear load around this track, as I like to say, especially through this middle sector where the majority of corners are right-handed. That's the front left tyre is now having a little bit of a black blister going right through the centre of the tyre. That normally means it's above 50% tyre wear. So Aries has kept those tyres in nice check, but he's now on the back of Zoidberg and Lynx. Is he now going to make any more progress? They've got to watch out for Hyper, though, in the background. 4 seconds the gap. I know Hyper has got more penalties than Aries, but still, he could possibly play a hindrance role in this battle for P3 with still 4 laps to go. Tom leads the way until lap 33. Jensen now in second. The front two is pretty much decided, I think, unless either of them spin. Lynx there in third, Zoidberg in fourth, Aries there in fifth, and Zoidberg now using up that EOS to try and catch onto the back of Lynx. Running down in towards turn number 1 is the XL man, going to take the over move in towards turn number 1, has to pull to the outside line. It's easy enough in the end, and Zoidberg's through and he's into P3, Lynx and P4, and this is just going to hinder, I think, Aries a little bit more, because they're not battling in front of him. Aries has now got a target to aim at, he's got DRS, but it's a bit of a stalemate at this point, and actually Lynx is absolutely not using up that DRS at all, and now Aries absolutely saunters past him in towards turn number 4, gets that job done, and Aries through and he's into fourth. Lynx has lost 2 positions in the space of as many corners.
Yeah, Lynx looks like he's struggling a little bit here on those mediums. Aries in a bit of a catch-away, too, because he's got 3 more seconds with the time plays over Lynx, so he kind of has to get a move on if he wants to keep 5th. But easier said than done on that point, but I don't think we're far from done. I think Lynx, though, I think that's what Zoidberg wanted, like a hot buffer car between the two of them, because now Lynx is now 7/10 behind Aries and is falling. He is fading. And Aries is going to be a little bit of a struggle on Zoidberg, but Zoidberg doesn't have to fight him too hard because of the penalty situation. But at the same time, wants to make sure he finishes down third on track if he can, because for a reserve driver, that's a strong performance at the very least. Carlos gets another 3 to add to his name, and Zoidberg's not chasing down Jensen anytime soon unless a spin happens. So, yeah, Zoidberg's just trying to hold a net P3 on circuit for realsies, and we'll see if Aries answers back. Fletty gets another 3 to add to his name. I think he's up to 12. Here comes Aries, going to get a good toe down the straight, and he's going to pass Zoidberg. It's like he's standing still. And Jensen gets 3 as well, so add him to the naughty stool, leaving only Chicken and Zoidberg, the 2 Mercedes with no penalties.
Yeah, 2 Mercedes with no penalty. Funky Chicken, by the way, we've got to take with a pinch of salt, because obviously decing at the session and it might get rid of his warnings and his penalties perhaps. So that is just a little bit of a note of caution there. But Aries now third, he's into third. 6.4 seconds. There is not a hope in hell he is going to try and catch the Tom and Jensen there leading the way. 6.2 seconds, way enough. He's blistering on those tyres. He may as well just try and bring it home for third. But as long as he's got the pace, can he pull out 6 seconds to Zoidberg? Now is the question. I would say very, very unlikely, but you never know. Weird things have happened in Formula 1. It could still happen.
He's got a better chance to pull 3 on Lynx than he has on 6 on Zoidberg, because the gap right now is 1.7. If he can get a second and a half over 2 laps, on soft tires that are falling off, but Lynx's tires are also kind of hit the wall as well. He could do it. It's not going to be easy, but it's possible.
Yeah, it is indeed possible. Zoidberg on the back still of Aries. Lynx is going to fight out. It seems for P5 there's a yellow flag, and that is Hyper round coming out the final corner. So Hyper has gone for a spin, and he's lost his right side end plate as well. So Hyper's in the wall. Literally what happened there, I think, is he got caught in the inside curb once again, like Colesbury did. He went in the wall, Colesbury. Hyper obviously recovered it as we rolled on board with him earlier on. Matey C, by the way, is going to get the move done on Fleddy, even with no ERS. Gets the job done. Into turn number 1, he defends the position, and Matey C's through, and he's into 8th position. But Hyper there in the wall. It went from a really good race and a really promising result to maybe an underwhelming performance from Hyper, considering where he obviously qualified, but he's still, I think, driven a very, very good race, and he should be very happy, certainly for the first 34 laps of that race, or first 33 laps of that race. I think he should be very happy with his performance.
Yeah, Hyper didn't sadly finish the door and sadly close it, but yeah, he showed some good pace there in the first and middle section. Some things he needs to learn as time as the craft goes, but definitely at least strong in his own rights. So he should be at least hat tip for that, but just needs to know how to finish. But once he kind of gets that down, he'll be good. But now Zoidberg could answer back here. He's got 40% ERS to Aries is 19. Gaps out 5 temps. Didn't use pretty much all he's got left in the tank here. Will Zoidberg make an aggressive move? I doubt he'll get the lunge here in the 1. Well,
maybe.
He's getting good toe. Maybe how aggressive will he take it?
He will.
Yeah, he'll get it. He'll get it. So I thought he's a little bit too far back there, side by side.
Switch back.
And he's going to, switchback maneuver, going to get a toe, and now he should make it like he's standing still here. Take the inside line, open the DRS, use all the rest of the ERS he's got. Lynx just kind of being a passenger in the distance watching, and Zoidberg will reclaim 3rd.
Oh my! Lynx is lagging.
That was decent. Yeah, Lynx is lagging. I thought Lynx almost just ran into the back of him and sent Aries to the Shadow Realm.
He doesn't want to desync now, and he doesn't want to leave the session now, because we're on the final lap of the race. It's Tom that leads the way, and he's now coming through and towards the Ferrosol. It has been another astute drive from the potential PSGL F2 champion, and he now bounces back on Jensen, takes the championship fight to Monza in 2 weeks. Lynx picks up a 3-second penalty. I don't think he'd be concerned about that, but Tom rounds Peraltada for the final time. He'll take the win in Mexico and take the fight once again to Jensen, who has looked again a little bit underwhelming, I've got to say, here tonight. I hope he's picked up another penalty. He's doing Daniel, by the way. Jensen in the wall in 2nd. Zoidberg coming around the final corner, across the line. He will finish in 3rd. Good run, actually, from Zoidberg. The only one not to pick up any penalties. A lot of crashing going on coming across the line. Aries there in 4th. Lynx in 5th. Hyper and Daniel having a real squabble coming into towards Peraltada. Doesn't went up like noisy and Gary in F2 from Season 4. And now Matey C is going to try and get the undercut coming on the inside line. And Matey C jumps them both on penalties. So Matey C in 6th. Daniel there in 7th. Fleddy, Hyper was the one that lost out. Fleddy's in the wall as well there in 8th. Funky Chicken and Colesbury, they're not going to have a private battle there for 10th and 11th. But a great race by all. Tom out on top, Jensen in 2nd, Zoidberg in 3rd. Sure, we'll be able to get the top 3 in while we wait for Funky Chicken and Colesbury to end off this race. They're now coming through in towards the Ferrosol, in towards Peraltada, and Funky Chicken now coming around the final corner, through in the final corner, so he's going to cross the line to finish in P number 10. And Colesbury to the line will finish in P11. And what could have it been for Colesbury in that race as well? As we've reached the end here for TTML F1, certainly in the racing terms, interviews of course still to come, as the top 3 are now joining us. Aries gets Driver of the Day, awarded by the in-game fan. I hate to say it, Pepsi, I think we're only going to give it to one man tonight.
Yeah, I can't. The only reason I'd say maybe Zoidberg just because he got no penalties, but I can't go against Tom on that one. Tom, just strong performance. I feel like it'd be a crime not to go for the obvious choice.
It will be a crime going for the obvious choice and not going for the obvious choice indeed. And we now can speak to Tom, who finished in P1. And Tom, first race under the Parnell Racing brand, first win here in TTML F1. Not obviously this season, but underneath the brand. Talk us through the race, because that was literally a walk in the park.
Well, it seems like a walk in the park, but it was a sweaty one. I'm literally sweating here because it's bloody hot. And yeah, I mean, Jensen didn't have a penalty till very late. I had 5 warnings, so I had to push. I was pushing to keep the gap at 6 seconds, but also trying not to get another warning. It's a bit stressful, but the Jensen penalty relieved the pressure a bit. But yeah, I know I can be quite a bottle job sometimes, cough Imola, but so yeah, it was a struggle to keep concentrating whilst I was sweating, but yeah, it was a good race.
It was a very good race indeed. I believe now the gap drops down to 24 points going into next week in Monza, of course, sprint qualifying, and indeed the feature race. Talk us through that race, as I say, because it sounded like a walk in the park to me. But as you said there, it's obviously very hot here in the UK, and obviously you're sweating, I think, by the end of the race. Was Jensen getting any closer than necessary to try and put you into a little bit of trouble?
Well, no, not really. Once I first got the 3-second penalty and he was about 4.5 seconds behind, I was like somewhat worried. Like he could have caught up getting the DRS off the guys ahead, but I think a couple of them like pitted before he got DRS, and like yeah, I think my pace was quite strong today to keep the gap the same or like make the gap bigger. But I think Jensen probably had like a couple warnings as well, which stops him from pushing. Mexico's quite a tough track for that, and obviously he came across a couple cars at worse points than I did. So yeah, it was, and also the start. He got quite unlucky there with all the carnage. I was glad to get away from that. I sort of gave hype of the toe to try and get him ahead of Jensen, because that's what I'm trying to do. But Jensen still got P2. He's still like mighty consistent, whether he didn't get the win or not. So I've only gained like a few points, but yeah, it was made easy for me in the end.
Yeah, made it easy for you in the end, indeed. Pepsi, any questions?
I guess I'll ask, with Mazda coming up next week, along with the sprint race, how do you feel? I guess it's two parts. How do you feel about the sprint race, with the last one being, and how also do you feel about Mazda as a track?
Well, I think Monza's 3 in a row here. I think it's in favour of me when it comes to speed, because I don't know if Jensen isn't fast there, but I think it results in other leagues. Like I remember FSS, he didn't get the strongest result, but I know it's a tough one to hook up in quali, so the one-shot quali is going to be a bit rough if you invalidate, but at least it's a sprint race to come back. But hopefully, you know, it doesn't happen and try and get a decent lap in. But yeah, the sprint race is good for me because obviously it gives me more chance to close the gap in terms of points, but I know Jensen's probably going to still get a strong result, as he always does.
Okay. Anything else you want to add, James, before we let Tom go?
Nothing else in terms of questions, just good luck for tomorrow night, because he is on, obviously, the brink of doing the PSGL F2 title as well. He's won 5 races in a row, so good luck, Tom, tomorrow. You've got me in the commentary box, so hopefully there's no bottle jobs.
Nice one, James.
I'll be watching this cover from the stands.
You're very welcome,
Yeah,
indeed. Go and enjoy your evening, Tom. And we'll now move on, of course, to the man who finished in P2, and it was Jensen. And Jensen, you got caught up in what can only be described as a little bit of carnage coming through turn 4 and turn 5 on the first lap. Talk us through it, because it looked like we had a bit of a lights glitch off our start, certainly.
Yeah, really annoying there. I don't know what they were thinking. Whoever dived up the inside of literally 0 gap. And just, yeah, that pushed me off track. And
I think that was the Alpine Noah, if I'm not mistaken, because it was
Lynx,
Hyper got around the outside.
And then
Yeah.
Lynx managed to get... Like, in the end, I lost 2 places from that one alone. And the start alone as well, like, getting beaten off by TB Hyper. I mean, he would have kept with him, but yeah, I don't know what Noah was thinking with the move there, because that just dropped us out of DRS, and yeah, ultimately probably cost me the win if I was within the DRS, because I don't think I would have picked up the pens, but I don't know if Tom would be driving so much on the limit as well throughout the most of the race, but ultimately deserved the win today. I mean, his pace was really good. I think pulled I think I just settled down the final lap, but pulled at 1.5 seconds over the time I tried keeping with him. I can't, and held no penalties until I think lap 34 when the safety car was impossible to come out, so I didn't really care much, so I just drove. And yeah, bit disappointing with it potentially, but P2's like the next best thing, so.
Yeah, I would take that, to be honest, considering how annoyed you probably would have been coming out of turn 4 and 5, certainly on the first lap. Talk us through the... I don't know what I was going to say there. I've just lost my train of thought all of a sudden. Pepsi, any questions? Well,
I'll ask him. I guess I'll ask him about. Same question I asked to Tom. I'll ask you, two-parter. What's your opinion of the sprint race coming up? Do you think it's something you'll be strong with? And also at the same time, what's your opinion on the track of Mazda?
I've always done well at Monza. I'd say it's definitely, yeah, it's one of those right place, right time ones. I think, like he said, I didn't have a good one on FSS, but just to remind you, that was with literally zero practice. So one of the practicing and the one-shot quali should be hopefully up there, but I think all I'm trying to do now is just try and take home the P2s at the closest you could get. I mean, I could afford P3 for the rest of the races and still hold on, I think, but yeah.
23 points.
I'm not necessarily gonna set up for P2 though.
Oh yeah, no, you're a driver that's gonna fight and fight hard. I guess to confirm your math on that one, yeah, 2s definitely get you there. 3s, you'd be cutting it close because of the sprint race.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll have to. If you finish second every race, you'll win the title. So you're gonna. Right now, Tom's gonna need a friend or a teammate or someone to be a bit of a spoiler, if you will, to give him a chance at this one. But James, do you remember your question?
Yes, my question was, you've got the lead of the championship, obviously, by 24 points. It hasn't came down, it's only came down, 5 points coming after tonight. Going into the final 2 rounds of the championship, what is your focus going into those final 2 rounds? Because we've already talked about Monza. Abu Dhabi as well, end of the season.
Brazil.
What is your focus? Oh, Brazil, sorry,
Brazil.
yeah, Brazil. What's your focus going into the final 2 rounds?
Just drive like I've driven all season, apart from Australia. Like if I lose the championship, I could put the blame on Australia. Yeah, I think Tom, he missed 2 more races this season though, but I missed the sprint race. So ultimately, I think that's, if you tally that up, we'll both be level almost on points. So going into these next 2, yeah, it's nothing can separate us really, I think.
Yeah, pressure definitely on, but hopefully the pressure can be handled, certainly out on track. Go and enjoy your evening, Jensen.
Thank you, and cheers for the commentary.
You are very welcome indeed. Zono, I don't believe, has joined us
he didn't
in
join.
party, so I think we'll probably leave it here, I think, in terms of the interviews. A big thank you to Tom and to Jensen for the interviews. Much appreciated, of course, as always. And as Pepsi's already mentioned, we go to Monza next week, the Temple of Speed, with the corners like Ascari, Parabolica, the Rettifilio chicane, the Della Roggia chicane, which I'll probably get mixed up next week, certainly, because we've got 2 races around there. Sprint and feature race still next week, Pepsi. What can our viewers look forward to? Because sprint races normally throw up bit of a weird mixed result.
Yeah, the sprint race is definitely going to throw up a mixed result, and since Mazda's usually a track where we see it's probably a good equalizer track in a sense that even, I wouldn't say the slower drivers, that's a little bit offensive or mean, but drivers that aren't as fast and maybe in a second class as the drivers in the first class, they usually can be kind of a bit of an equalizer with the long straights being throttled 90% of the time and not as hard of braking in succession of corners. So it's a good equalizer track. We may see a driver like maybe a Hyper, if Zoidman's there next week, or a lot of the drivers bring a bit of a challenge. Fruity's there as well, bring a bit of a challenge to be a bit of a monkey wrench for our top 2 challengers in the standings. So I think you're going to see a lot of overtaking, a lot of passing, and maybe a few surprise drivers bringing the thunder to both Tom and Jensen in both the sprint and the featured race.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be really interesting, I think, to see what Tom and Jensen can do, obviously, out on track, and what all of our drivers, of course, can do out on track next week in TTML F1. Hopefully, we get a better attendance than 12 drivers here tonight. Well, 13 drivers, actually, but 12 drivers here tonight. Noah leaving on the first couple of laps as well was very disappointing, and if you want to be like him and only show up for the first 8 laps of the race, you may as well not even race going forward in TTML F1. But we will end it off here. Pepsi, just to confirm, driver of the day is Tom?
I can't think of anyone else that would fit that description. Only one maybe sorting with pedalies, but it's gotta be Tom. Masterclass from lights to flag. I can't think of anyone else.
Why not me?
Sorry, Jensen. After that first start, you kind of shot yourself in the foot after the first lap.
But yeah, Tom definitely gets Driver of the Day award by the in-game fans. I'm going to put that in the admin chat as well, just to confirm. But yeah, we've got more action to come next week on the League Racing TV channel, of course, on YouTube. F3 is going to be live on there on Thursday. I think the TTML GTAMG series is still going on, I believe, as well. And that's obviously going to be taking place, I believe, on Thursday, I'm tempted to say. I think it's run at the same time as F2, so yeah, that might be on Thursday. The season might have ended, so I might be just saying that a week late. But TTML F2 is going to be also live here on Twitch next week. Myself and Storm taking to the action as always. Final 2 rounds of the championship coming up in all of our races. F4 next week, I should say. Pariah and Buck going to be taking to the action here on Twitch, and on Sunday as well. We have also got TTML F1, myself and Pepsi, back in the commentary box for next week in Monza. And also, we've got the TTG PC Invitational, round 3 to come next week, and that is going to be Luke Etheridge and Ibe Khan taking to the action for that one, and that's at Saturday at 8 PM UK time as well. We are going to end it off here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.